This video will contain spoilers. So, I was supposed to watch this yesterday with Dylan and all, but then we realised that the driver isn't going because it's his dad's birthday that day. So we're like, okay, well, we'll go Wednesday. And that was sometime last week, and then I asked, I was talking to Ginger and Binman on Sunday, and they like, oh, we need to look at the times. 4:30, yeah. We'll do 4:30. Just need to ask Dylan. We wasn't in the party, so yesterday Dylan was in the party, and I said, 4:30 Flash on Wednesday. Yes or no? No. But you said that it needs to be any day before 4. Yeah, I'm not going anymore. Because he had seen stuff, and based on what he's seen, he decided that nah. So okay, yeah. So is it just me that's going now? Yep. No, okay, I'll go today then. Look at the times. There's only like an hour from then. So I quickly booked and went, and I've seen The Flash. Mixed ratings, I've seen it in cinema. Ezra Miller, Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck, Sasha Calle, Michael Shannon, Saoirse Monica Jackson. Henry Cavill only appears through archive footage. Nicolas Cage, his appearance it's CG, as far as I know, like 100% CGI. Because what his scene is that when it's like, so the way that there's two Barrys, I thought it was multiverse, turns out it's not. He goes back in time, stops his mum's murder and all that, and he starts to go back, but by the time that he gets to, say, 2010, someone who looks kind of like Savitar punches him, and he ends up stuck in 2010, and that's how he meets, like, it's the same Barry, just in the same universe, different timeline, and this one is just gonna call him Young Barry and Old Barry. Like young Barry being young, and Batman's dead, Supergirl's dead, all that. He's like, well, I can just go back in time and like fix this. So he goes back in time, and it just, no matter what he does, he keeps on fucking up. Batman keeps on dying, Supergirl keeps on dying, and he keeps on doing it so much to the point where he becomes that thing that looks like Savitar. My dad's phone is going off. So because he keeps on going back in time and fucking up, and just completely like breaking the laws of literally any sci-fi or any time travel movie. I need to turn off fan here. They're like, to show these bubbles. I'm just going to call them bubbles. They're all the different universes. So you've got the George Reeves Superman from the 50s. You've got a CG version of the Christopher Reeve Superman / Helen Slater Supergirl, and I thought both of them were quite disrespectful. Like, if they had shown it from if they cast a different actor to play the Christopher Reeve and George Reeves Superman, but angled it or had them in shadows or something so that you can't see their face, that would have been better. Or scrap that and either don't have them or replace them with someone like Grant Gustin, because Grant Gustin does not make an appearance in this. Anyway, and then one of the other universes is one where Nicolas Cage is Superman with a mullet fighting a robot spider. The reason why this happened is because in the 90s, after Christopher Reeve's accident, they're like, oh, well, if we want to make another Superman movie, we need to get another actor. So they got Nicolas Cage. They cancelled it because the producer is so fucking weird. He has this obsession with the protagonist in a film fighting a robot spider, because he's like, Superman in this film has to have no cape, doesn't fly, and in the third act, he fights a robot spider. And everyone else is like, what the fuck are you talking about? And because of that back and forth, the film was cancelled, and then that guy ended up producing Wild Wild West, one of the, worst films ever made, critically and financially and all that. And in that film, Will Smith fights a mechanical spider. Anyway, I didn't know Tamir Morrison played Tom Curry. I didn't recognize him. Ray Fisher appears only for archival footage. Gal Gadot does make an appearance, even if it only is small. Jason Momoa appears in the post-credit. And the effect of Flashpoint is that in the Snyderverse, Batman is no longer Ben Affleck, but now George Clooney. So, 2 other rumours were correct. Just the Nicolas Cage one was only half true because it's CG. Speaking of CG, my god, the CGI in this shit, especially on the costume. Like, Green Lantern. That's what they did, the Green Lantern. The costume for that was CG, and it was terrible. Like, I get that it's been 12 years, but how do you not learn from your lesson? Especially when that ended up into... The only reason why people remember that is because they made fun of it in Deadpool. Anyway. So, they're better off just making a real costume. I think the only reason why they didn't is because they wanted to have, like, these... Anytime that he's about to run, parts of his costume glow up, and it kind of looks like veins. It's the only way I can describe it. Like, if it weren't for that, there's no excuse for them to use a CG costume. Oh, and then they're like, but it's intentionally shit, because it's the Flash, and he's fast, so everything's a blur. So that's why the CGI is a blur. That's no excuse. Especially when the CG on the Flash itself, and not just the costume, there's another bit where I think he was time traveling for the first time, and his like body stretches out, and it's a fucking horror show only because of how bad the CG is. And there's another, right, so when he time travels, I need to blow my nose a second, hold on. When he time travels, you kind of, he's in a sort of prison, like a dome, and he sees everything around him. So if he goes back, like, he starts at night, the day before his dad's trial. He goes back in time to the day before his dad's trial, and you can see, like, everything he was doing at that time. And the way that he, like, goes to the point that he wants to go to is that he steps out of the dome. But in the first time he time travels, he only pokes his head, and it's like that scene from 4-4, the floating head CGI, but worse. Because at least with the floating head CGI, I fucking suck at noticing bad CGI. But this, like, it's... You can't not notice how bad it is. Yeah, that's me done ranting about CGI, I think. Zod, like, Michael Shannon said that it wasn't as fun doing it, and I kind of understand that now, because I thought that the way that it would have worked was that because of Flashpoint, Zod is back, but no, it's Zod only exists in that Flashpoint time. Like, I'm going to split it up into three timelines. So you have pre-Flashpoint, Flashpoint, which is most of the film, and then post-Flashpoint, which is only the George Clooney cameo. So, obviously, pre-Flashpoint, you had Zod, Superman fights him, and that's it. In Flashpoint, that's why Zod is back, because Superman doesn't exist. Or, well, he never made it to Earth, and he died because Zod killed him as a baby. And then they fight him. And the only reason why they fight him is because they want to make like a sort of time loop thing, because you have that younger Barry becoming Savitar. So it was kind of disappointing in that way. As for Michael Keaton, I don't like the way that they brought him back. When I first heard that they cast him, my immediate theory was that since this is an adaptation of Flashpoint, that maybe Michael Keaton will be playing Thomas Wayne, because that's how it worked in the comics. But nope. Michael Keaton is Bruce Wayne, because the way that Michael Keaton was the one that described it, even though why the fuck is Batman explaining time travel to the Flash of all people? I mean, I get that, like, the scene where Ben Affleck's like, you know, change one thing in the past, you change everything in the future and all that. But according to Michael Keaton, say you're in 2023, you go back in time to the year 2000 and change one small thing. That somehow changes things even before 2000. So because Barry saved his mum in the year 2000, Bruce Wayne ends up being born in 1951 instead of 1972. Or something. Despite all that, I still did enjoy it. I'm surprised at how positive those ratings are, though, because this does seem like it's gonna get even worse attention or even worse ratings than Ant-Man and Thor and all that. But Stephen King, of all people, liked it, which is weird. Anyway. Extraction 2, universally positive ratings, Netflix original film. I watched on Netflix, directed by Sam Hargrave, starring Chris Hemsworth, Olga Kurylenko, Idris Elba. Right, problem I have with Idris Elba's appearance was that I don't like the pause films when I'm going for a piss. And I went for one, like, while I was gone. That's when he pops up. Anyway. David Harbour does not appear in the film. I don't know why the fuck of all people Google is saying that he's in it. He's not. Thought that Alex guy was fucking Matt Damon for a second. Don't remember much from the first one other than he, well, dies in air quotes at the end. But this is gonna stick with me because it's fantastic. It does sort of have that John Wick 4 unrealisticness, unrealism, whatever the word is to it. Because I get that they're wearing body armor, but the amount of shots fired on people, like, point blank range at what looks like the head, just nah. And also a bit where he shifts down a chopper. The chopper's in front of a train that's moving, and the chopper sort of crashes on the tracks, and the train just goes through it. no problems, when realistically that train would be fucked up, because I mean, you know, a small rock can derail a train. We're talking about a fucking chopper in the middle of the tracks. Oh, and also, I don't remember from the first film, but I really like Nick in this one. It reminds me of like Bishop from NCIS, or maybe Knight. And another thing was the amount of times that she should have fucking died, like specifically her. And one last thing, that 22-minute sequence, it's one take. Fucking love that. Love one take sequences. And this one was just don't know what else to say. I wouldn't have loved them.